YouTube because we just loaded up our YouTube live stream. But as of right now, I will, after the NFL draft, I am thinking about going on a break. I don't know when I'll be back after this episode, guys, but I wanted to give you guys the heads up and keep you guys posted because I care about the audience and I care about you guys. Because I want to bring nothing but the best experience possible to you. And at the moment, guys, hey, it's not it. It's just not a great moment right now. But guys, I appreciate each and every single one of you for just sticking with us. For real. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. And to be honest, guys, this was hard. This was one where I was really, really thinking about the future of Inside the Huddle, but I couldn't just leave that easy. So everybody do us a favor, hit the like and share. Make sure you subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube, wherever you're at, guys. Thank you for joining us. For real. We really appreciate you guys' support. Even throughout this, I've continued to have multiple people just reach out to me about everything that we got from the support from you guys, because you guys are amazing. We appreciate you. All right, so let's get into this first round action. Dude, this was incredible. Every live show is brought to you by our good friends over at vocalbreaks.com. Vocalbreaks.com is the best when it comes to AI-powered technology, as well as whenever you have some of the best around the game, whether you're a podcaster, music producer, or a DJ. Vocalbreaks.com is the best for you. Use code LucasHill10 for 10% off your monthly purchase. Also, every live show is brought to you by our good friends at Hero Soap Company. Going over to herosoapcompany.com, use code Huddle Up at checkout to get 10% off of your first purchase. Guys, great company, great people to work along with. Thank you to those at Vocal Breaks for sponsoring us. Let freedom clean. Cam Ward, pick number 1. Anybody surprised? Nope. But we'll get to some of the surprises in a little bit. Going on to pick 2, bam, we got a blockbuster trade. This is one where I thought, I don't know if a lot of people were really, well, I should say, people weren't really understanding the overall incredibility of what this first round was and incredibleness of this trade. Guys, Jacksonville gave up a lot just to move up to number 2. And I think it's significant. And people are saying, oh, well, why did the Jaguars go that high to go get Travis? I don't know if anybody really expected this to happen, but I think Travis was very happy. I don't know if Travis Hunter wanted to play in Cleveland. I doubt he did. Who does? But I think you put yourself in a much better situation for Jacksonville. Not only are you going to be able to compare him alongside Brian Thomas, give you weapons for a guy like Trevor Lawrence to throw the football to, but I think you can also put him into some dime packages in the secondary. I think he can be really useful in those situations. He ain't playing both ways. I promise you that. He'll be in select packages. He ain't playing 100+ snaps a game in the NFL. There's too much money at stake for that. So, with that being said, guys, it's obvious he's not going to play both ways. But this was a big trade. I think that this is a guy that is going to be a once-in-a-generation type of talent. I think he's put that on full display. And I think that a lot of NFL teams are going to face the wrath of what the Jaguars are going to put on the field in the next few years. So, next few ones were not really surprising. Abdul Carter and Will Campbell were the next two up. Here's one that I thought was fairly interesting for Cleveland. This was one that now that you traded back, but now for Cleveland, you've got the top 3 of the top 36 picks. So the Browns now, you've dealt a 4th, 6th to Jacksonville for the number 5 pick, and a 2nd-round pick. You get a 4th-round pick and next year's 1st-round pick. It's a hell of a price to pay. So now you have a difficult call to make. Do I think that Mason Graham should have gone to Cleveland? Hey, I don't know, honestly. Do I think that you could have improved elsewhere? I think that if you would have gotten a guy like an Armand Membu to be a solid right tackle, I would have been completely fine with that, to be honest with you. I think it could have been Will Johnson as well. I thought your defensively, you had to improve somewhat. And I think that losing a lot of depth at the offensive line should have been critical. You got one offensive lineman in Cornelius Lucas. Not to mention already, you brought in Malik Collins and you brought in Joe Tryon, Shinoika, and Julian Okwara on the defensive side of the ball. So I don't know really why they still went with Mason Graham. I think it kind of boggles my mind that they did that. But look, that's nothing on Malik Collins. I still think he's an elite pass rusher, and I think he's an elite player. I say the same thing about Joe Tryon Shinoika, who can be a very consistent pass rusher as well. But why did you go get a defensive tackle still? So this is what your defensive line room is going to look like now. Myles Garrett and Malik Collins to go along with Joe Tryon Shinoika, Alex Wright, and now Mason Graham. It's interesting, to say the least. I do think that defensively, your DB room is very, very, very depleted. You need somebody alongside Denzel Ward. You have to get another guy on the other side. Because I'm telling you right now, I don't know what Denzel Ward's going to do without another guy to help him out. Tony Brown, not it. Greg Newsome II, not looking that great. Had a rough season. He had a decent year last year. Had a somewhat breakout year. Career high in tackles, career high in pass deflections and interceptions. But I think you got to go find another guy. And I thought that a guy like Will Johnson would have been perfect for you. I'm still kind of confused on the pick. I think offensive tackle-wise, you could have gone with another guy. But we'll see. Ashton Jeanty goes number 6 to Las Vegas. In my opinion, you should have gone with an offensive lineman. But, hey, shout out Jeanty. 5'9", but a hard runner. That's going to be my only issue, is that he's that short. Tedorosha McMillan to the Carolina Panthers. I think everybody knew T-Mac was going to head out to Carolina. Armand Membu to the Jets. I assumed that he would be either the first or second offensive lineman taken off the board. Here's where we get to some interesting picks for the rest of the draft. Saints sit at number 9. Everybody knows that there is a lot of issues in the quarterback room. Everybody was all rooting for Shedeur. Everybody was all rooting for somebody like that. And you didn't get that. So, what do you do instead? Well, you go out and you go get a guy and another offensive lineman in Kelvin Banks. Mind you, you just got one last year. Now, I understand. You have 2 offensive linemen, 2 offensive tackles that you can plug and play in. Mind you, Derek Carr's career season is in limbo right now with that shoulder injury. But to be honest with you, I don't think he wants to play. Kellen Moore in his first full year decides to go get an offensive lineman. You would have been better off getting a guard. I would have rather had Tyler Booker than to go get a guy like Kelvin Banks. And look, I have no issue with Kelvin Banks. I don't hate him as a prospect. But the needs-wise, this is all on general management. This was not a smart pick. If you really wanted to go get an offensive lineman, you should have waited till round 2 or 3. In 9 of the last 11 NFL drafts, from what I'm hearing, the Saints have picked a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman. And by the way, they just declined Trevor Penning's 5th-year option. Which, honestly, who is really surprised? Who's really surprised at this point, guys? And look, man, I don't know. Because I'll be straight up with you. I didn't like the pick. This is what your quarterback room looks like. Derek Carr, whose season is in limbo because of a shoulder injury, and the fact of the matter, I don't think he wants to be in New Orleans anymore. You've got Ben DiNucci, Jake Kaner, and Spencer Rattler. So are you going to roll with Spencer Rattler for the first year? Or are you going to go out and go get a free agent quarterback? Your running back room is pretty interesting with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Alvin Kamara. I'm fine that you didn't get a running back. I would have rather gone out and gone. If T-Mac would have fallen to 9, I would have gone to go get T-Mac. I'll just be honest with you. Brandon Cooks, Chris Olave, and T-Mac, I would have been fine with that. But offensive line-wise, you got another offensive tackle. When your defensive line, I understand that you have guys like Carl Granderson, like Cam Jordan, like Isaiah Foskey, and Brian Brzee. Guys, we have to be real with each other for a minute. Please, 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 hear me when I say this. You would have been better off getting an edge rusher. It's not that I don't trust Chase Young. Guys, Cam Jordan is too old. He's 35. He'll be 36 in July. His career is coming to a close. Unless you're waiting for next year, plus you just signed Carl Granderson, or Granderson's entering his 3rd year of his 4-year extension. Foskey, do you really trust Isaiah Foskey? I don't. So I don't agree with this decision whatsoever. I thought it was a bad move for New Orleans. Merely stating. Then you go to pick number 10 and you go get, and you're the Chicago Bears. And look, you're in a position to go get an offensive lineman. Boom. I know it was kind of in limbo because of that, but you go get a guy like Colston Loveland. Now, look, I do not have a problem with Colston Loveland. I think he is a great route runner. I think he's extremely effective as a tight end. He is a big freaking dude when it comes to these edge, when it comes to his route running. But you guys, look at the tape. Why didn't you go get the John Mackey Award and Tyler Warren? But I mean, the guy can play a multitude of positions. He's essentially Brock Bowers 2.0. I don't know why you didn't go get a guy like Tyler Warren. So I thought that was really interesting to me. Look, Colston Loveland is a hell of a player. Do I think he's a top 10 worthy pick? No. I thought he was going to go to Denver. I wouldn't have wasted a top 10 pick on a guy like that. I would have gone after the John Mackey Award winner and Tyler Warren, that I think is going to have an effective career with a guy in Indianapolis. Then you go to pick 11 in San Francisco and you go get Mykel Williams. My problem is this. Are you sure that Mykel Williams is going to be healthy? So if he can get healthy, guys, he can be a really elite defensive lineman and play opposite Nick Bosa and really dominate the edge. But Mykel Williams, to me, is not as good as what Jalen Walker shows. Here's the deal. Here's a guy that struggled with injury majority of last year. Guys, he's a really elite athlete. Make no mistake about that. But overall, I think in run support, he gets washed out a lot. I think he has a lot of work to do as an edge rusher. I'm glad he's with the San Francisco 49ers and working with a guy like Robert Saleh because, dude, this is going to be a really, really good team. I think this can be a really interesting situation that San Francisco can get themselves back into with an elite DC like Robert Saleh, who, by the way, can be an extremely, extremely effective DC back in San Francisco. We all know what he did several years ago. Who's to say things wouldn't happen too? So I would have picked Jalen Walker over Mykel Williams. I don't know if I can really go ahead and say that Mykel Williams is better than Jalen Walker. Tyler Booker at 12, honestly, I don't really have a problem with it. People are going to complain about it, but guys, that front five was bad. But you're getting an interior guy like Tyler Booker to replace Zach Martin. You're going to be much better off than where you were a couple of years ago. I thought Miami was going to go safety or defensive back today. I know that you lost Christian Wilkins. You don't have that extremely good interior guy. You got to find a way to go replace Jalen Ramsey. You have to, dude. Jalen Ramsey is too good of a player for you to just pick up with another second stringer or a free agency guy. You got to go work through the draft with that one. I thought that Will Johnson would have been perfect for that. So Grant goes 13. I thought Kenneth Grant would have been an outside top 20, top 25 prospect. Tyler Warren to the Colts, which, by the way, well deserved. Shane Steichen's offense is going to be elite with Tyler Warren. He's going to utilize him like Brock Bowers was. Jalen Walker goes to Atlanta, which I thought was a really good pick. It was a hell of a pick. And by the way, he's going to fit a big need. He's a hybrid guy. He lined up an inside linebacker in the edge majority of this season. We broke it down a little bit earlier, and I really enjoy watching this kid play. Walter Nolan goes to Arizona. He's going to be a hell of a run stuffer. Shamar Stewart going to the Bengals. We'll see what happens with Trey Hendrickson. I think it was a pretty big need. Gray Zabel to Seattle. I think he deserves that one, to be honest with you. You get a guy like Gray Zabel to work interior to protect Sam Darnold. Saw him at the Senior Bowl. Dude showed out. My friends, let me tell you. Here's one I think this is where things started to get crazy. Derek Harmon to Pittsburgh. So, wow. I thought this was an interesting pick, to be honest with you. But it was one where, was it predictable? Not really. Was it obvious that a guy like Shedeur was going to fall out of the top 32? I did not expect that at all, to be honest with you. But that's a humbling experience for Shedeur Sanders. We'll get to that in a little bit. Derek Harmon to Seattle is going to fill in where Cam Hayward is going to end. Hayward's entering the end of his career. We all know that. So you're going to need some help. And that's where you're going to get that. I like Derek Harmon. I think he's an elite guy. I thought he was one of the more underrated defensive tackles for a team like Oregon, who didn't really get a whole lot of attention on their defensive line. Dude, he's going to be an awesome guy. Omarion Hampton, I figured he would go top 32. I had him early second round, late first. But I think it's interesting that you just signed Najee Harris too, but you go on and get a guy like Omarion Hampton, trying to create a little thunder and lightning with them as well. But remember, Najee Harris is not a bad running back. The guy's coming off of, he's had 4 straight years of 1,000 rushing yards. And you went out and signed another running back when really you needed to get another edge rusher, or because of the Joey Bosa situation, or either that, or you could have gone to go get another guy like maybe Will Johnson. But I think edge-wise, Donovan Areziku or James Pierce would have been great for you. I am shocked that you didn't go get either two. Matthew Golden going to go to Green Bay, going to give him another wide receiver. Going to go give Jordan Love another deep threat to go along with Alan Lazard on the outside. Donovan Jackson playing the interior, but I thought it was interesting. Dude, Will Johnson falling out of the top 25, top 32 is incredible to me. Then we got another blockbuster. Jaxson, New York, trading to go get Jaxson Dart from Houston. Bear with me while I go on a rant. Bear with me. You just signed 2 quarterbacks! And you want to go out and go get another one? This is horrible. Guys, you have offensive linemen on the board. that you would like to have. You had Josh Connerly, who could be an elite offensive tackle. Pair him alongside Andrew Thomas, you got a great mix. Interior-wise, you could have gone elsewhere. I know Donovan Jaxson left. Guys, Jonas Saviena would have been better. Tate Ratledge would have been better. But you went out and you went and got a quarterback? After you spent that money, you did what the Falcons did last year. Why are you going to spend all this money on quarterbacks? No. This is worse than the Falcons, guys. You got a starter, you got a backup, and then you go out and go get another guy. Go out in freaking free agency and go get one, or wait until the 3rd or 4th round. Why are we wasting money, first round money, let me remind you, on a guy from Ole Miss? I'm not hating on Jaxson Dart. I'm hating on the fact that the Giants are spending this much money and giving up so much draft capital to go back into the first round and get a freaking quarterback. How the hell does that make any sense? Somebody please explain this to me, because obviously I am uneducated in the draft business. Just does not make any sense to go draft a 3rd quarterback to put on your freaking roster. So freaking stupid. And look, I didn't want to come up in here and yell and scream and I wanted to be calm. I wanted to have a great day. This is what we're at, guys. You got nobody to blame but yourself, Giants. You did this crap to yourself. That was bad, to be honest with you guys. I hated that pick. I was like, what the hell are the Giants doing? But you know, they're saying, oh, well, he's going to be the guy. Oh, well, he can learn for a few years. You said the same thing about Shedeur being wasting a first-round pick. Guys, even then, Shedeur wasn't worth a first-round pick. I said that out of speculation. I didn't say the crap was going to happen. But anyway, Atlanta pulls off another trade. They trade up to go back and they get James Pierce Jr. You get another edge rusher. Another one? Okay. I knew. I think it was pretty interesting. But I think they have a lot of belief in James Pierce. And by the way, earlier this time last year, James Pierce was being considered to be the number 1 overall pick in this draft. It sucks that he got treated like Jadeveon Clowney in 2013, but the dude has a high ceiling. Dude's a high motor off defensive lineman and can make you pay. Malachi Starks drops to Baltimore. Dude, that's a hell of a pick, dude. You pair him alongside with Kyle Hamilton, who's going to move to corner. Holy cow. The combination of that backfield is going to be incredible in Baltimore. You get Tyleik Williams, which, by the way, Tyleik Williams, to me, should not have been a top 32 pick. I would have gone with Mike Green on this one. You needed another edge rusher because of Aiden Hutchinson, who, by the way, was still coming back from injury. Guys, you got to go find another edge rusher to help him. Josh Connerly goes to Washington. I think this was a pretty interesting one. But I understand that you just got Laramie Tunsil. If I'm Washington, I would have gone to go get another interior guy. It's either that or I get another edge rusher. Dude, Washington would have had Mike Green in their backfield. All right. So Buffalo goes to get the fastest player in the 40, Maxwell Harrison. Jihad Campbell will be now a linebacker, and they go get the best linebacker in college football in Jihad Campbell. And then to finish it off, as expected, Kansas City goes to get an offensive lineman, which you need because you got your ass handed to in the Super Bowl. So my overall grades for this one from first round, I would have Titans, Jags, Jets, Panthers, Colts, Falcons, and I would say the Broncos all getting A's. I would say the Ravens too are getting A's. By the way, Giants are getting a C because you go out, you get a guy that is as elite as what Abdul Carter is. He's going to be a freaking monster in NYC. But then you get the C because of Jaxson Dart. So that's your own fault, to be honest with you. So, hey, that's all I can say at the end of the day, guys. I mean, you had to be better with your drafting. Falcons, hell of a draft. You get 2 edge rushers that I think are going to be elite at the end of the day. What are the Saints doing? What the hell are we drafting another offensive lineman for? Lions, I would say I give it a D because you needed to get an edge rusher. I understand interior-wise you need to improve as well. GT, we'll see what happens, man. I think GT is the biggest flip of a coin out of anybody else in this draft. So that's going to do it for us here today, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll be back I'll probably be back on Monday or Tuesday, depending on the day. And we'll talk some more. We'll recap the draft. And yeah, man, I'm really excited for it. And then you won't hear me up until we get to August for our previews, guys. But again, appreciate you guys sticking around through the journey. We'll see you on Monday. Until next time, if you don't catch me Monday, check out these old episodes, guys. We're going to still be here. I promise you, we're going to still be here. Y'all have a good one.